Hey there guys, gals, and non-binary pals, GM Potter here. Welcome to my channel where I talk about books and bookish things. I am an independent author, an avid reader, and a cat mom of 4. Want to talk today about writing and literary things for world building. So when you sit down to write a story, how do you build the world in which it takes place? This is especially important for things like fantasy or speculative fiction. It also comes into play for contemporary fiction, because are you going to play it as it lies? Like, if you're using the real world, are you just going to leave it that way? Or are you going to change some things and adjust some things? Are you going to amplify some things? So let's get into it. I want to start with a quote by Joyce Carol Oates. I absolutely adore this quote. It's, "Novels begin not on the page, but in the meditation and daydreaming, in thinking, not writing." And I thought that one fit very well with today's topic, which is world building. So I do have a world building sheet, little worksheet on my Patreon. I believe I have it priced at $3 for just, and then you can download it and use as many times as you like. But this is just an abridged kind of some of the things that are on there, but there's of course more on there. So for world building, of course, you have to start with, what is the name of your world? What is the name of the country in which the story is taking place? What are the states or provinces? What do those look like? What do the regions look like? And giving them names. One of my favorite things to do is to start with fauna or flora feature of the world that I'm incorporating, plants or animals, and look at the scientific names and start from there. For Harmony Coxcomb, I had Aucuparia was the name of the fantasy world. That's part of the scientific name for the rowan tree, which is important in European magic. Traditionally, it's a plant of the Fae world that you're not supposed to build a crib out of rowan wood because the baby will be pinched by the fairies. But that's something I like to do rather than just kind of throwing Scrabble tiles at the wall and seeing what sticks, which is something that other people do. Other people will take sounds, like they'll do vocal exercises and find the name of their world through that. All of these are valid. The way you do it is valid. But that's something you have to consider, is the naming. And like, what do you call the planet? What do you call the country or the kingdom or what have you, the empire? What do you call that? The subregions within that, what are you going to call them? Because that helps set the pace and the tone for the story. Along with that, you have your geographical features. What kind of environment do we have? What's the climate like? What sorts of plants and animals? Is it rocky or sandy, or is there silt? Is there mud? Is it boggy, or is it fen-like, or swampy? Is it a wetland? Is it very dry? Is it desert-like? Is it more arboreal? Is it very forest heavy? Lots of trees? Is it Great Plains? Like, what does the world look like in its natural state? What sort of natural resources are there for this world? And then we get into political. How is the country or the region or the province or the world settled? How did your main character species change the world and the way it looks? Like, did they plow down all the trees? Did they build their houses into the trees? Is it something like Rivendell, where it's incorporated into nature? Or is it something more like the Dwarven lands, like Moria, where they dug into the mountains and changed the shape of the mountains from within? Like, how did your race of beings change the way the world looks? That's something you also have to consider. What is the geopolitical climate of these countries in your world, of these states and provinces and regions? Do they get along? Do they not get along? Do they ignore each other? Like, even if it doesn't make it onto the page, tensions between regions do impact how characters act, how people act and think and behave. It'll make an impact on resources. Like, has the cost of eggs gone up? Has the cost of something gone down? How does that impact the day-to-day life? So something that I've seen in books that don't feel well enough developed is that the author didn't take the time to look at the things that don't make it directly onto the page. That they're just focused on what makes it onto the page instead of backstory and creating the world and doing the work. And you can gloss over that. There are plenty of good books where the authors have done that. But if you do that too much, it does show up in the story, and the reader can tell that it's not as well thought out as it could be. For your kind of digging a little deeper into the political side of things, what do the classes or castes of your society look like? Is there a ruling class, an upper class, a middle class, and a lower class? What do these look like? What does social mobility look like? What does each class or caste in your world do? How do they behave? What is expected of them? What does decorum look like? And then for society, is religion a big part of the world? Is there a magic system? What is the economy? What does the industry look like? These are all things you have to consider when you're world building. I've said it before that each story that I work on gets its own notebook, and this is a large part of that is my world building. Even when I have books like, for instance, Harmony Coxcomb that takes place primarily in Dallas, our main character comes from another world. She comes from another realm. She comes from the magic world. And so even though the story doesn't take place there, aspects of that civilization, of that community, of that world bleed into the story that I'm telling that takes place in our real right now world. That it bleeds in because it impacts how she thinks. And she's like, well, why can't we just do this? Oh, someone's sick. I will heal them. It's just how she is and who she is, and the prevalence of magic in the magic realm and the benevolent use of it is just something that you do. It's like breathing. It's like when you get to the door and you see someone like 2 steps behind you, you hold it open for them. Maybe you don't, but most people, most of the time, especially if the person behind them is struggling or carrying something or has like children with them, like they'll just hold the door, even just a little bit. You don't have to like get the door for them and wait for them to go in first. You can just kind of hold it behind you. But that's something that most people in Western society will do automatically. And that's something that is judged when you don't do it. It's like putting your shopping cart back. Not everybody does it, but there's a certain level of judgment on both sides of people that do and don't. Like there's a judgment there. And it's not like, oh, I'm not going to be your friend. I'm not going to hire you because you didn't. Like, of course, there are stories where things like that have happened, but most people, most of the time, will make just a snap value judgment on the person about it, that it shapes how you view that stranger. These are the sorts of things that you need to consider. What does morality look like in this world? What do the social mores look like? What is expected of a person to be a part of society? Or is this character a loner? Do they not fit into society at all? Are they apart from it? Have they chosen not to live in the society? You still have to write the society even if they're not a part of it, because they're choosing to be a part of it or not a part of it impacts how they react to their world, how they interact with their world. If they interact with other characters, how do they interact with those other characters? That everything is interconnected in the writing. You don't have to do anything, I guess, with writing. All you have to do is put one word after another for writing. But in my humble opinion, what makes a good, well-rounded story is the work you put into the back of it. I am a huge Tolkien fan. Lord of the Rings were my favorite series growing up. They still are. I love those books. And I love the amount of work he put into them. And Tolkien was friends with C.S. Lewis. C.S. Lewis, there's a lot of jokes in the literary world that Tolkien spent hours and hours and years of his life perfecting the backstory and the languages and all the stuff that doesn't even make it onto the page of The Hobbit and The Lord of the Rings. That they're in the notes, in the appendices, that in the histories, that they don't make it into the core story. And then C.S. Lewis is just spinning a big wheel, or he's chucking a little tile down a Plinko board, or throwing darts at a wall. And he's like, Santa gives weapons to the children. And that's probably the scene in The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe that bothers me the most, because it just feels out there. It doesn't fit the tone of the story. It doesn't fit the tone of the world. It doesn't fit the tone of the universe. And I don't know this for sure because I wasn't there, but what I've read is that Tolkien was so annoyed by it, because it felt so out of place, that he considered ending the friendship over it. So I know there are people out there that love that Santa's part of the story, that it adds to the childlike wonder of the world of Narnia. And then there are people like myself who are like, what is this? What happened? Am I missing several books? Did a section of another book get pasted into my copy somehow? Continuity and making sure the world is cohesive matters. It matters quite a lot. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you're enjoying my little jaunts into writing and the things that go on into writing. None of this is required. Like I said, if you want to be a writer, the only thing you have to do is write. That's the simplest and the hardest thing about it is you have to sit down and do it. I'm just trying to help you craft better stories and craft better narratives. And if you disagree with me, tell me in the comments. I'd love to hear what I've gotten wrong or what your system is. How do you write when you sit down and you write shapely fiction? How do you go about it? I'd love to hear your stories. I love talking to other writers. I love talking to other creative people. I love talking to non-creative people. But don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.